So what's up, everybody? It is Friday, September the 18th. I hope everyone had an amazing week. Um, First and foremost, this update is brought to you by the good people at KW Philly. KW Philly is the number one real estate brokerage in the city of Philadelphia. So if you need help, looking for a property, if you need help selling a property, or definitely if you're looking to get a career in real estate, please let me know. I would love to make the connection for you. So it's a few things that, with that said, it's a few things that I'm going to talk about today. One of the first things that I'm going to talk about is the March to Common Ground Act. That is a bill, a $2 trillion bill that was enacted by House Democrats and House Republicans in a way to, like the name says, come to a common ground in regards to the relief package that the United States needs. I'm also going to talk about the payroll tax. I've been getting a lot of calls in regards to the payroll tax. The If you are a federal employee or if your employer, if they did opt in to take less taxes out of your paycheck, then in 2021 from January to April they have to double down. So there's been a lot of talk about that. President Trump has came out and said, those taxes will be forgiven. I'll talk a little bit about that. And then, last but not least, I'll talk about the downfalls of being a sole proprietor. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And if you're watching this on IG Live, all the slides, won't be available to you, but please, shoot me a DM. I can keep track of everybody who's joined. I can send you over the slides. That way you can follow everything that I'm saying. But the slides will be limited on IG Live just to this financial update slide. So let's start it off. So the March to Common Ground Act. The March to Common Ground is, simply, what it says. This is a bill that was enacted or that was put together by House Democrats, House Republicans, in an effort to come to a common ground. If you guys have followed, whether you watched it live or you watched it recording, which I know a lot of people do, over the last few weeks, I have been talking about the differences between the Democrats and the Republicans and what's really holding up the second stimulus package. So there was a package or a bill introduced this week called the March to Common Ground Act. And this was, like I said, created by House Democrats and Republicans to really to come to a middle ground. I highly believe that this package will get approved. There has been a lot of pressure on the Democratic side from House Democrats urging Nancy Pelosi to get a deal done. And then President Trump tweeted out earlier this week, I believe Tuesday and Wednesday, that he wanted the Republicans to come up on price. So I do believe that this is going to be the one. And, if this is not the one, they're definitely not going to come down in regards to the amount of funding. But like I said, I really think this is the one. So just to dive a little deeper into what this stimulus package includes, first I'm going to talk about the stimulus check. So the stimulus check is $1,200. If you received it the first time, you should be eligible to receive it the second time. Just like last time, the income threshold, it remains the same at $75,000. If you're married, that comes up to about $150,000. The key difference when you're looking at this stimulus package versus the first stimulus package in regards to the stimulus check is on the first stimulus check, you only was allowed $500 per dependent. And that was limited to 2 dependents. On this stimulus check, there is no limit on the amount of dependents. In addition to the adult, if you take care of father, mother, uncle, any adult that's listed on your return as a dependent, you'll also get a $500 stimulus check for them as well. So, like I said, last time, it was just a $1,200 for yourself and it was limited to 2 kids. This time, there's no limit to the amount of kids you have. And then the adult dependents also qualify. So if you're taking care of, like say, your mom, pop, or, someone in elderly care, you should get back, a little bit more if, if you claim them on your taxes. So that's a big distinction. Make sure you, if you're looking for that money, they have to be on your taxes. When you as you hear more and more news about this stimulus package, you may hear that it's only 1.5 trillion and not 2 trillion. The reason why they may come out and say it's only 1.5 trillion is because there is a caveat within that bill that says that if we don't get to certain economic and hospital metrics, that there will be a third stimulus check issued in March of 2021, another $1,200 check. But that's something that, myself, and of course, I'll let you guys know something, just to keep tabs on. And like I said, as we get closer to that date, of course, I will let you guys know if that third stimulus check will be issued. Next, I want to talk about the unemployment benefits. So the unemployment benefits. So when everything first came out, it was $600 a weekly benefit. A lot of people, were able to take advantage of that, and really helped a lot of families and people in need. The unemployment benefit will change a little bit this time around. The first thing is when it first comes out, it's not going to be $600. It's only going to be $450. So that's a $150 difference. And that's only going to be for the first 8 weeks. So if you think about it, if it gets released in October, that'll take you to the end of November. And then in December, that last month, they look to increase that weekly benefit up till $600. That is right around Christmas time. So I think it's definitely, Black Friday, Christmas time, the holiday season. I definitely think that played a part in making sure that people had a little bit extra coming into the end of the year. The one thing that I will mention about the unemployment benefits is it cannot exceed current wages. So before, with the first package, you had, I don't want to say a lot, but you had a good amount of people who received unemployment benefits that was more than what they would be paid normally. That is not the case this year. I'm sorry, not this year, this time. This time, the weekly benefit that you receive will be capped at the amount of money that you earn. So that's a very important piece. If you were, one of the people that was able to receive, more income not working than you were working, that won't be the issue this time around. The unemployment benefit will be capped at your salary. And then last but not least, like I said, October, November, those would be those first 8 weeks of the $450. And then coming into October, you're looking at a $600 benefit. And then that stops at the end of the year. So that unemployment extension runs into the end of the year. And then, from that point, we'll have to see, what happens. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the Paycheck Protection Program. When you hear PPP, that's free money, right? So the Paycheck Protection Program was probably the most popular funding program that was released once COVID, hit. And the reason why it was so popular, for everything that I just said, it was free money. So whether your business was, whether you were hurt by the economic conditions, or you were just in business and you weren't, regardless of what the case may be, if you filed a tax return and you claimed income on your business, and if you did not, file for the Paycheck Protection Program the first time around, please get with me. Like I said, I work with a team of CPAs and advisors. I would love to help you do the application process. You usually do this application process with your current bank. So make sure, if you did not do this process, reach out to the bank manager, let them know, like, hey, once, the Paycheck Protection Program becomes available again, I would love to make sure that, I'm first in line to receive those funds. Roughly it's about, within this new package, it's about $240 billion is going to be allocated to the Paycheck Protection Program. Outside of the Paycheck Protection Program, and I'll revisit, is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. This is a loan that really try to recover 50% of whatever your gross income was, not your net income, which is really important. And they took gross income because, regardless if you made $100,000 and when you looked at the end of the year you only had $1 in it, if you spent $99,999, that even though that may be bad on your part, that's good for their economy, because that means that was $99,000 that went out, and whether you paid, vendors, whether you paid whatever expenses you paid, that was money in somebody else's pocket where they were able to use that money for whatever purposes they would need. So that economic injury disaster loan, if you're in business, especially if COVID, had an adverse impact on your business, you definitely want to make sure that you talk to me about that EIDL loan to make sure that, for one, you're covered, and for two, my biggest thing with this EIDL is to make sure you can make it flip. Meaning that if you receive a loan, understand that it's a cost for that money. It's called interest. And if every day that you have that loan outstanding, that's money out of your pocket. So you want to make sure, if you take, $25, $50, $100,000 loan, that you can say to yourself with certainty that in the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years that you can be able to make that flip. So if you need, more guidance or kind of a better walkthrough of what exactly does that mean, and kind of, mapping everything out, please, get with me. I would love to help you strategize that in regards to how you get from A to B and being able to pay off that loan. To kind of dive back into the Paycheck Protection Program, one of the things that I wanted to cover, and I will be covering probably until the end of the year, is the loan forgiveness. So if you did apply for the Paycheck Protection Program, there is Form 3508 that you have to fill out, so that PPP money can be free money. If you do not fill that out and give that to your bank, then what will happen is that will become a loan and you will have to pay that back. So if I say you did apply for the Paycheck Protection Program, please make sure that, like I say, you get with me or you get with your accountant, financial advisor, and make sure you fill out that Form 3508 so that PPP money can be free money. So what I went over was the 3 main points that I felt would directly impact your business. If you're on IG Live, you can't see this live. Like I said, I will mail out the recording, because this is recorded. I will mail this out, so you will be able to see this slide in the recording. And I'll go through the list. But within that $2 trillion bill, I covered 3 things, and there are a lot of other things that are included in that bill. Just kind of going down the list: schools, eviction protection, state and local government funding, testing, elections, U.S. Postal Service, which has been big in the news. It's about $15 billion that's allocated to that. The Democrats wanted 25, so that's $10 billion short. Farming and agriculture, broadband development, liability protection, and student loan forbearance until December 31st of this year. So I can just tell you the main issues that, if this bill was to get struck down, the main issue will be state and local government funding and U.S. Postal Service. Nancy Pelosi, she wanted about $1 trillion for state and local government funding, and she wanted $25 billion for the U.S. Postal Service. So right there, you're looking at about being $510 billion short of what she requested. But this bill was created, like I said, to meet halfway. And even though, the Democrats and Nancy Pelosi, they started at 4 or 5, now I believe about $4 trillion. I think anybody would attest that that's really high. So I think, this $2 trillion dollar package, or $1.5 trillion package in the immediate, will do quite well. But I'm not a politician. Hopefully, something gets done. Like I said, it's been a supreme pressure with House Democrats urging Nancy Pelosi to get a deal done. And like I said, President Trump tweeted this week that the Republicans should go up in price. So I definitely think that this package is the one. So please be tuned. And like I said, once the details are finally dropped, I will definitely, probably do a full class in regards to everything that's involved, how what you need to apply for, what you can apply for, and the best way to go about it. So This was a topic last week as far as the payroll tax deferral. Payroll tax deferral started September, the first week of September. Most employers are not opting in, meaning that they are not taking advantage of this program because, for one, it's a huge administrative hurdle to, depending on your workforce, to not withhold tax for 3 months and then have to double down at the end of the year. There's a lot of questions that arise to that. What if the business goes out of business? What if you have an employee who you did that for and then they leave, in the new year? So a lot of, especially the private sector, a lot of small businesses are not electing for this payroll tax deferral. If you are a federal employee, however, you have no choice. And President Trump has come out numerous times to say that if he was to win the election, he will forgive payroll tax after the deferral period. But to do that, he would need congressional support. So that means Nancy Pelosi and the House of Reps, the Senate, which is already Republican owned. He would need support from both parties to be able to do that. And because of the impact it will have to Social Security, a lot of people don't believe that that will go through. But like I said, we're going into the election. Please take anything that you hear with a grain of salt as we go. Like I said, as we go into the next month in October, and then of course the election on November 3rd. If you're not registered to vote, please register yourself to vote. It's very, very, very important. So this is going to be a slide every time. Pay your taxes. As we get, towards certain points of the year, I'll emphasize that a lot more. We just passed the September 15th deadline. October 15th is the next deadline. So for a lot of people falling under this deadline, this is for individuals who extended their tax return. October 15th is the due date to have those returns turned in or submitted. So please, if you need help, if you need assistance, or if you filed your tax returns and you don't even know what your liability is for next year, please, let me know. Like I said, I work with a team of CPAs and accountants, and we would love, to help you. For one, like I said, know your liability, and two, make sure you're only paying your fair share of taxes. So the next thing that I wanted to cover is the downfalls of being a sole proprietor. So I did a video this week, just kind of, telling everybody, and, I'll be preaching it over the next, all the way up until the end of November, that all of my content will be really focused around business formation. Especially as we get toward the end of the year, how you structure your business can have a dramatic impact on the taxes that you pay. I'm going to repeat that. How you structure your business can have a dramatic impact on the taxes that you pay. So the first one that I wanted to cover was a sole proprietor. Now, whether you're selling a product or a service, you wake up, you sell that product or service, automatically you're a sole proprietor. There's not any paperwork you have to file. You don't have to call anybody. You don't have to make an announcement. Automatically, you're a sole proprietor. And while that's good for someone who it's a side hustle for, meaning that this is where you get a minority percentage of your income, it's fine, because you should have other income that could help you, whether you wanted to buy a house, whether you wanted to buy a car, whether you wanted to get any type of leverage. You should have substantial income where you can still put yourself in the running for those things, like I said, in regards to a car, getting a house, so on and so forth. But if you are not, if that situation did not apply to you, meaning that your business is not a hustle, it's how you eat, right? It's how you eat, it's how your family eat, it's how you survive. Then, being a sole proprietor is really not in your best interest. And I'm gonna give you 3 reasons why And, I can have, hour and a half conversation if you let me. But I'm going to touch on three important points. The first being separation of assets. Now, I remember when I was watching, when I was with my grandma, I had to be about 6 or 7 years old. And I was watching the news, and Bill and Melinda Gates was on TV. And I apologize if you heard the story before, but it kind of matches up with everything I'm about to say. Bill and Melinda Gates was on TV, and they said, we don't plan on leaving any money to our kids, maybe a few million if that, but we don't plan on really giving any money to our kids. And I remember watching that saying, man, that's messed up. Like, I'll be hurt, if my parents was billionaires and they said they was only going to leave me a million. Like, where's the love? But going through tax school, being on different engagements, I realized that when you talk about taxes, it's really about control versus ownership. And what Bill and Melinda Gates was doing, or what they are doing, is they didn't want to give their kids all that money because now they own it. But when you keep that money in a foundation, the kids control the foundation. So even though they don't own it, the benefit of not owning it is Uncle Sam can't come to you and say, hey, I need some money, right? You put it into a trust or a nonprofit entity that really is not on the hook of any taxes, and you just control that money. And that's what effective tax planning is. And when you talk about, being a sole proprietor, I've been working as an accountant for over 10 years now. I have never came across a client or an individual that was able to accumulate any type of money or wealth that did not have a business structure set up, whether it be a LLC, corporation, partnership. You just need it to be able, once you get to that certain point, to be able to navigate those tax waters and really, like I said, pay only your fair share in taxes. The next thing that I'll talk about is financial liability. Let's say, Jarrell Daniels owns 5 rental properties, and somebody, walks down the steps and they trip, fall, and, they're paralyzed from the neck down. I will be sued for millions. And because all those properties are in Jarrell Daniels, the person, my entire financial picture is liable to be sued, to be taken away from me, right? By creating LLCs, you're trapping the liability within each LLC that you create. I work a lot with real estate, and I always preach to them, for every property that, especially rental properties, for every property that you create, you should have an LLC for each property. Because, like I said, God willing, the example I just gave, if that was to happen to you, then it'll only be that property that is on the hook. And usually, what I advise, and I do plan on having a real estate attorney on a little later on down the line, but I'll talk about that a little later. But like I said, what I do advise, if you are in the real estate, if you are in renting out properties, you create an LLC and then make the naming convention for that LLC whatever the property address is. So, but I say if you was to have everything under your personal name, you really open yourself up. It's really a risky game that you're playing in regards to having all your assets liable to be taken from you. And then last but not least, man, it shows that you're serious. For one, if you're a business making over 30 grand and you don't have the business structure, me just electing for an S Corp, I know I can save you money in taxes. So I know you're losing money if you make over 30 grand and you're a sole proprietor. But more importantly, you don't want to engage in any kind of contractual agreement and put your personal name down. It just looks unprofessional. You can't even get a business bank account without having a certificate of formation. These are basic things that before you can even get to knowing your numbers, having financial reports, these are things that you want in place. Not just like I said, for business development purposes, but like I said, protect yourself and to really, present yourself well and as a business. I kind of look at it as, think of as an employee, going to work in a corporate environment with street clothes. Yeah, you can do your job, you can knock out all the tasks, but the presentation and how it looks is going to be horrid. And, in some cases, it really may prevent you from moving up, or in a very severe cases, it may cause you to get fired. And in business, how you represent yourself to clients, how you represent yourself to investors, financiers, you want to make sure that the presentation is legit. And just one last point on that. A lot of people has been asking me lately, how do I build business credit? The credit piece is good, but one of the things with business credit is when they run your business credit and looking to give you a loan, they look at a few things non-financial. Do you Are you a legitimate business? If you tell me the name of your business, I can look it up right now and tell you when you register and the address where it's registered on. It's public information. So like you want to make sure those things are checked off, because those are the most basic things when you come to setting up your business and when you really come to making money and further along really making a profit. So that is my update. I hope you guys learn something from this. If not, please let me know. Of course, if you have any questions, I'm about to open it up for questions. You can let me know. Like I said, I'll be doing this update every Friday at 11 o'clock. And I talked briefly about the sole proprietor, and like I said, that being an election that you don't have to do anything to be a sole proprietor. You can wake up, you sell something, automatically you're a sole proprietor. So the next step after being a sole proprietor is creating a LLC. And I have a blog that's posted on the website in regards to what a LLC is, who needs to apply for it, and the pros and cons. And I also plan on teaching a class specifically about a LLC after the 10/15 deadline. So I'll definitely probably have a date by next week during the update. I'll let that date be known in regards when that LLC class, will be. Also, if you can follow us on social media, this is something that I put together, really to try to help businesses, small businesses, be aware of news and events that can impact your business. I know when you're going throughout the week, it can be a lot to, do everything that you need to do to survive, to work, so on and so forth. And it can be hard to keep up with everything that's going on as it relates to your business. So, the whole purpose of this weekly update is to put together in a 15 to 30-minute broadcast everything that you should know that's coming up that can really help you in your business. And like I said, with that said, my name is Jarrell Daniels. I am the CEO of JD Tax and Accounting Services. I work with a team of CPAs and accountants. I believe 3 of the CPAs are from PricewaterhouseCoopers, the number one accounting firm in the world. So we have a pretty good group, and we focus on financial management, tax planning, and I emphasize tax planning because if you only receive a W-2, let me help you and save you some money. TurboTax, Tax Hawk. There should be some free software that the IRS finally puts out for this upcoming tax season. The systems and software are good enough that if you have a basic 1040, you can get away with knocking out your tax return on your own. What you will need help with, what you would need help with is sorry about that. What you would need help with is the planning that goes into that, right? So and planning, all good planning happens before December 31st, which is the reason why I'm talking about the business structure and why it's so important toward the end of the year. Because after December 31st, once January 1st hits, there's nothing that I can do, any accountant or financial advisor can do for you outside of retirement strategies that can really help you save money on your tax bill. But if you was to come to us on January 1st or even now, and we can say, on September the 18th, we have roughly 6.5 months before you have to pay taxes, we can come up with a strategy, how you can reinvest or defer that income so your liability won't be, as high. And then that last piece that we offer is business development, which includes everything from strategy, operations, and marketing. And really, if I can put it in a nutshell, business development is the strategy what gets you from A to Z. If you want to make $1 million, if you want to make $5 million, if you want to make $10 million, business development is what gets you from wherever you are now to that $10 million. So if you guys have big ideas that you want to put out there, but you don't know where you want to start first, you don't know, what you should do first, you don't know who you should reach out to first, please, give me a call. Or if you know somebody, this information that can help, please, refer my information. With that said, maybe I was talking a little bit too much. We did hit the 11:30 mark. I hope everyone has a great week. For everybody who attended on Zoom, thank you. For everybody who I see some of my guys on here. For everybody who attended on IG Live, thank you. This update is recorded, so if you received the email from me earlier in the week regarding the update, and you should have received the email probably about an hour, 30 minutes before the update, then don't worry, you will get the recording. If you did not, let me know. I can make sure you're added to that email list so you can get a copy of the recording. So in the meantime,